We live in a culture that does not care much for authority. So here it is, verse 27. They arrived again in Jerusalem, and while Jesus was walking in the temple courts, here it is, three groups, right? The chief priests, the teachers of the law, and the elders. These people were known as the Sanhedrin, and these were the big shots. They confront him, and they say, by what authority are you doing, quote, these things? What are these things the council is talking about? Well, remember what we preached on 2 weeks ago. So here it is. Jesus is now red-faced and he's angry. He came to the courts and he starts throwing tables and things flying around. He's using the whip. Get out of here. Get out. There were probably a group of people in the Sanhedrin that were profiting off the commerce in the temple. Are you with me so far? So they come rolling up to Jesus and they're like, who do you think you are? Jesus replied, I will ask you one question, answer me, and I will tell you by what authority I'm doing these things. John's baptism, was it from heaven or from men? Tell me. Why does Jesus answer the question with a question? They're looking for a way to trap him, so he turned the tables on him. The answer to the question he asked is the answer to the question that they asked. The Pharisees, they didn't want to admit that John the Baptist's ministry was from heaven. What was John's message? To prepare, make straight the paths for him. And do you remember what he said about Jesus? Look, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. So his whole ministry was Jesus is the Messiah. So the last thing they want to do is admit that his message was from heaven, because that means what he taught and preached was truth, and we don't want to admit that. But they don't want to say that it was made up by man because of their fear of people. These people, they were pretenders with their authority, weren't they? Their God was their own influence, their own stature, and they lived in fear of other people. How many know that is no way to live? When you're all about you, your stature, your reputation, what people think of you, and you live in fear of people. The day you come to a place where you say, it's not about me, it's about him, and I have no fear of people, I preach truth no matter what people say, that'll set you free. And guess what? You're going to live your life with authority. It's not that they didn't know. It's that they didn't want to admit it. And the reason they didn't want to admit it is because it was a threat to their status. They lived exactly the opposite of John the Baptist, who said, less of me, more of him. I must decrease so that he can increase.